Welcome back to Daytime Ottawa here on Rogers TV. My next guest is the artistic director of the Ottawa Pops Orchestra, Mathieu Roy, joining us. And Mathieu, I got to start with that because, right? I mean, you and I were both saying off camera, we were just mesmerized with it. I had no idea that we had that facility here in Ottawa.
It's me either, and I think I'm same thing with you. Like I was thinking with all my friends, like this could be a night, just going night, weekend, week, whatever.
Yeah, and you can play. My producer Stan just said you could play the Symphony as the cars race along. It might be a perfect a match made in heaven. That being said, let's talk about Ottawa Pops Orchestra. Tell us a little bit about yourselves and what your mission is.
Yeah, for sure. So this is a primarily youth-driven organization, but we're kind of opening up to the broader Ottawa community in general. And what we're trying to become is Ottawa's local Pops Orchestra. So what is Pops? It's popular repertoire, it's Star Wars, it's Harry Potter, it's video games, it's anything that you might have had a connection with, but adapted to the symphonic stage with a full symphony orchestra. So what we do is we try to bring in these interesting performances and productions to bring in a new audience that and to share our music with that. So we're trying to redefine the orchestral experience, as we try to say.
Matthew, you mentioned that word adapting. You had to do that as many other organizations, businesses, you name it, had to do during COVID. Talk to us a little bit about how you adapted during COVID.
For sure. Well, the biggest part of our business, obviously, is the live performance. This is what we do. This is what we're here for. So when that was taken away, I work with other arts organizations. I think the key word was just pivot. How can we just shift and do that? And different organizations have done it in different capacity. And for us, right when we first started, we just started reaching out to local artists, different individuals, influential people in Ottawa, and we created some editorial stories about music and how Ottawa can become a culturally curious town or city. And then later on in the year, we partnered with the Gladstone Theatre, and we designed a chamber series. So that was for smaller performances. And then after that, just more recently, we got some funding to create a new works project. So where we commissioned 6 new pieces from young emerging Canadian composers from all across the country under the age of 30. And we just presented that performance last weekend.
Oh, that's wonderful. And it's great to hear that you're being funded to allow yourselves to do that kind of thing. Because I think when people think of composing music, especially in this kind of genre of music that we're talking about, we always think about the past, right? Rightfully so, the greatest composers of all time. But there is still so much talent that are still composing music in that classical side of music, right?
Exactly, for sure. And that kind of brings into the type of programming that we do. Back in the day, in the 1700s or all that kind of stuff, like people would go out to the opera. They would go out to the symphony instead of going to the movie theaters.
Yeah.
That was their outing. So now what we do, instead, we hear that music in the context of movies, in the context of video games. So what we're trying to do is essentially just replicating that and separating the two to be able to convey those same emotions. When you see those really strong feelings when you see a movie, when how John Williams writes those passionate lines, and I know right away, bum 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 bum. I know that Darth Vader is going to come in. So it's that kind of feeling that we're trying to bring back. And with video games, it's a natural connection to that as well. Like it builds into that nostalgia. When you play The Legend of Zelda, you hear the forest theme. You know that you're going to go down that way, and so much. New composers are kind of going into that genre to really allow them to create a career out of that.
Well, you had to cancel 4 of your video game symphonies. You are coming back with it June 3rd and 4th. What can people expect at the Video Game Symphony? Because I love the fact as well you have a really interactive component with the audience.
We do, yeah. Well, first off, you're going to see a full symphony orchestra. So if you haven't seen that before, come. We have a double brass section. It's ridiculous. It's insane. And we also have a big live screen projector behind with scenes from those video games. And we always try to do some interactive components, try to get our audience literally out of their seats. And in this time, we had an arrangement done by one of our conductors, not the conductor of this show, but Jonathan Dagenet. He arranged a piece from Mario Kart, and what we're doing is we're going to draw from the attendees, 4 lucky winners are going to come on stage, and they're going to race Mario Kart with the orchestra accompanying them while they race.
I love this idea. This is so good. This is so good. Between, the RC cars and what you guys are doing, my goodness, it's so, people that call Ottawa boring, I'm sorry, you're just not looking in the right places to find interesting and amazing things to do, and this is a great example of that. Mathieu, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it, and I'll just remind our viewers that Video Game Symphony coming up June 3rd and 4th. It's at 7:30 p.m. each day. It's at Meridian Theaters, and that's at Centerpoint. You can visit the website to find out more information, of course, and to get your tickets. We'll tell you about the Gutsy Walk that's coming up in just a moment.